this is what you don't see when you're watching Hudson and Rex, is that there's like a 40-year-old Newfie woman yelling at the dog off camera, just yelling like
I
like aggressively. So like she's not being polite about it. And because the dog gets stressed out, they got support dogs for the dog.
Oh, okay.
So there's two like small dogs following Rex around everywhere.
That's interesting. So the dog has emotional support dogs.
Yeah.
What a stressful life it must lead.
Yeah, the animal handler could shut it down at any point if the dog's getting stressed out, apparently.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, we're started now?
Yeah, we can start for real now.
What an introduction for the podcast.
I think that's a good cold open. Don't even. That's.
Uh,
All
my
right.
name is Jacob. I'm a filmmaker from Labrador. I live in St. John's now, and I went to school with Travis.
Correct.
And
Are you happy about that? Are you glad that that happened?
yeah, I guess so. I mean,
that was a long
yeah, I mean, it was good. I liked it. There was probably better film schools out there, but seeing as it was the only one in the province, aside from the one in St. John's,
I wasn't
I
necessarily. I
think it
wasn't.
was.
I wasn't necessarily getting at. Holy
Oh, you
shit.
meant meeting you.
Yeah.
Was it worth it meeting you? Absolutely not.
Yeah, of course not.
Terrible.
My chair's loud as fuck, by the way. I don't know if you just heard that.
I did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to not move. Um, okay, so here we are. We've started a podcast. You were mentioned in the last one. You were mentioned in the last
Was
episode.
I?
Yeah, I don't know if you watched that far or at
I
all.
watched like I think I watched 15 minutes.
Yeah, you don't come up till about the end. I think my
I only
exact
gotta listen to it all.
yeah, my exact words I believe at the end were that I think if I could add one extra person to the table, it would be Jacob. Uh,
Yeah.
and it was solely because I believe I looked at camera. I was like, we'd be like the straight men, and then Jane occasionally says some crazy shit, but like Jacob would just be saying stupid shit the whole time.
Oh yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I was thinking like, so what do you think the podcast? What's your aspirations for this?
for this,
Where do you think it's going?
I think it's my entire thing was I basically just woke up and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna start one, and figure out where it goes from there." Right? The
Yeah,
only the only sort
that's what
of
I thought.
the only sort of preconceived notion I guess I had for it was that like we're probably going to end up staying somewhere in like film and media because it's just kind of who we are. Um but beyond that I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, I was thinking
okay.
because
That's a
my
scary
inner
thing.
voice.
That's really
Yeah,
scary.
no, I was gonna say my like inner monologue is like it's not. It's like I'm the listeners isn't gonna know what this means, but it's like I'm Quagle sort of. It's like I'm just talking to myself. We might okay, I might explain who he
That's
is later on.
you can.
Uh,
I think that that's worth doing.
but yeah, no, my inner monologue is just talking like nonstop, basically. It like if I didn't have an inner monologue, I'd be a much happier person because I go to sleep way easier. Like I'd be able to focus on stuff, but it's just going nonstop. So I think about stuff a lot,
Mhm.
and it's like I have like a podcast in my own head 24/7. And so when you told me you were doing a podcast and I knew like we probably weren't going to prepare at all,
Yeah.
I just said, fuck it, I'll write down every single fucking thought I have
Oh god.
for the entire shift I have at work.
I was going to
Because
tell you
that'll
to
that'll give us something to think to talk about at least.
Yeah, I
Right?
was I was I was contemplating telling you to look up some topics while I was at work because I wasn't going to be able to do it. Um so I think that this is hilarious that you've taken it into your own hands and have decided to
Yeah.
do whatever the fuck this is.
I'm the game master here.
Yeah, this is scary. This is for everyone at home.
Uh
This is the most horrifying thing that I've ever been sort of brought into.
so I was saying like the whole point of about podcasts, really. Like, where do you think that this will turn into anything? Because I don't really.
Um,
Not gonna lie.
I
As your
think
friend, as your collaborator, it's not if this does get like 1,000 views
a-
the next day or something, perfect. But yeah, I don't really.
as
No
your
offense.
as your friend and creative partner, I think you've made a horrible choice. That's what that's.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I
but
knew I could say I knew you wouldn't really care.
oh no,
Uh,
I don't. Do you think I went into this thinking that you thought it was a good idea? I
yeah,
knew you were not gonna think that this was smart in any capacity. Um, but like, well, this is the thing. So what you're saying is like, what you don't think is gonna blow up, and I agree. I don't think it's gonna blow up. But what I
yeah,
think is that when you consider um YouTube and sort of like the place where we're putting all the stuff, the short films are like I think we make half decent little films, right? I think that they're like
yeah,
mostly right. Some are a couple of duds, but you don't win them all, right? Um,
yeah,
but the thing is, it's like the platform, like the entire notion of the podcast was like I was thinking, I was like, how do I maximize my input into this machine, right? Because
yeah,
YouTube wants some level of consistency, and it wants like the more you can put up, the sort of the better. So the podcast basically functionally was just like, how can I put as little effort as possible into a product and get it out faster and more consistently? And the answer was a
yeah,
podcast, right? And
yeah.
you can say like whatever you want about like traction and stuff. The shorts have done pretty well so far. I say pretty well. By like shorts metrics, they probably have done dog shit, but like by the channel's overall metrics, they've done pretty good.
Yeah.
um, so do I think that this is going to, I don't know, blow up overnight or some shit like that? Of course not. Never, never in a million years thought that was going to happen. Um, do I think that it's going to allow for a more consistent sort of exposure, I guess, of us to the internet? Yes, and I think that overall, to grow the channel, I think that that's a good thing, and that's a thing that we want, right?
Oh, there's a Snapchat
That
notification.
was definitely a Snapchat notification. I'm gonna mute that.
Here,
But
I
the,
gotta hate to
the
break it to you. The
yeah,
second we started record, I like immediately was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go to the bathroom." So
that's
give me
crazy.
give me 1 second if you can.
All right, Jacob has returned from his piss, so I just want to go back to what I was saying previously about like your whole notion of whether or not I think the podcast is going to do well. Um, it's less about it doing well, and it's more about um being able to give the audience
Bullshit
a
in, bullshit out. That's the system.
no. Well, it's like I want to be able it'll get well, that might be a great example, I guess. Your entire demeanor, uh letting the audience get a sense of who we are as people, whereas like you don't get
Yeah.
that from the movies because the shorts are just like these sort of like curated, like very specific pieces that we've been making. um and so I feel like the podcast is a great way to actually uh allow for some sense of personality. um so yeah, anyway, what's going on, what's rattling around in that brain of yours?
So yeah, I was saying, like, in order for a podcast to be entertaining,
Yeah,
like, it's you can get better at it, like, because it's just speaking publicly.
it's
Like,
a
that's basically what it is. It's public
I
speaking.
I think
And
I said in the last one, it's a learned skill. I think it's a learned skill that you can
I
develop.
don't think so. I think like some people are just you can learn it, but some people are just naturally better. Like comedians, I think you can learn how to be a comedian, but the majority of comedians are just born funny, and it's their experiences as a kid that just sort of turn them into who they are, right?
Okay.
And you take somebody, and you don't need to be a comedian, but it's like someone like me, all things considered, I'm just like a moron. So like I'm not I'm not the most
Hey man,
entertaining
some
person
some
ever.
some people have made whole careers on that. So like, don't sell
Yeah,
yourself short.
but then they're at least they're morons who you can like you put them on a shirt or something, you know? Like you you need to be fun to listen to, I guess, in some way.
I
Either
guess.
you need to be not necessarily intelligent, but you gotta you, I can't even like formulate a half coherent thought half the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's where
Like
like
the average, I think the average, because anybody can sit down and like have a conversation. And
yeah,
you know what? You need to be able to tell it in such a way that hundreds of people can listen to it and find it engaging, which
I
is
think
where most people fall flat.
I think you'd be surprised. I think just in like I don't know how many people would watch, I guess. I don't know in the long run. I think you'd be surprised at um fuck, I have no idea what I was going to say there. I kind of
It's
lost it.
okay.
I kind of lost it in your I had something I was going to say in the middle of what you were just talking about and then I lost it cuz you kept going. Um but I mean
Damn.
like I said, I don't know
I
what
thought
this
that was going to be me who would have that happen first.
Nope, it was me. But it's I think it comes down to this thing where it's like you're talking about I don't think this is going to work because what you think that we're not interesting enough at all or anything like that? Is that what it is? Is that what you're saying?
It's not that we're not interesting. It's more so that like uh having a like pretty much every thought I've ever had has been had by somebody else, you know? And it's either you need to take those thoughts and tell them in like new ways, or because a podcast is basically just a collection of thoughts. You either need to have something nobody's heard before, so they're gonna listen to it, or it's something very relatable, but like it's not just a conversation you had every single day, you know what I mean? It has to have some new level of insight.
Yeah, okay, sure. I think I get where you're coming from. But like how do you know that you're not right now phrasing it in a different way than other people have?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then the other thing that I would say about that is like, do you know how many of the same YouTube video exist on this platform and they're worded like borderline the same and they all have hundreds of thousands of views?
It's terrible.
It's no, but that's my point though, is you're saying it's like, oh, I'm every thought I've had is the same as somebody else has had. And I've also like I'm not wording it any differently, but I'm like, I mean, there's proof to prove that that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't. Yeah, but you need
Like
clickbait, I
like I
guess. A compelling title is what makes it work half the time. Like
it's titles
I
and
know, I
thumbnails.
remember. Yeah, there's Five Nights at Freddy's and Minecraft videos where you like there'll be 10 videos with basically the exact same title, almost word for word the same video, but they just come out at the same time, and that's why they get popular, I think.
Uh yeah, sure. I guess. I don't know. I'm sure that probably is what happens there. The I think the gaming market, specifically like the gaming end of like YouTube in relation to that sort of stuff is like a little bit of a different beast because I would say on the platform like people will talk about like I've had somebody be like why would we do something on YouTube because everything's so oversaturated and I'm like saturation doesn't matter here. What matters is like how good your thumbnail and title is. So it's like but I would
Yeah,
argue like the only niche that I've really looked at and been like I think it might matter the level of saturation is like the gaming like niche.
yeah,
Like I think it's like so like and it depends on like I guess what facet of gaming you're in, but like I think like the entire like gaming side of like YouTube content is like heavily saturated in a way to where like even as a person who like doesn't really believe in saturation mattering, I think on the gaming end it might a little bit. But that's
yeah,
also I guess to coincide with the point of like I don't think it does matter is all those fucking Five Nights at Freddy's video with the same title and thumbnail, right? Like
yeah.
so
I think podcasts also are just kind of very saturated. Because
yeah.
really, how many podcasts do you need? I listen to like maybe two or three. I listen to the Adam Friedland Show and Come Down. That's the same people doing both podcasts. So it's
That,
basically just one
yeah,
podcast.
but
And then
you
it's like I have 500 episodes I could be listening to, and I choose to listen to the same clips over and over and over again. Right?
But I think with that, what you just said, you watch two shows that are just the same people. I feel like that comes down to like the entire sort of notion that I made for wanting to do this in the first place, which is
Yeah.
obviously you watch that because you enjoy those people on like some personality level. I would imagine, or at least in terms
Yeah.
of the content that
It
they
is. Yeah.
create. But even that, like, because they do two fucking podcasts, it's probably got a lot to do with personality. And so
Yeah.
I feel like you're just kind of justifying my point. in wanting to start this in the first place.
Yeah, I guess so.
Uh, okay. It's
No, it is
okay.
about the personality, yeah.
I think that's well,
But
that's like what the entire like internet content creation, it all stems on like personality. It's a very personality driven
yeah, but that's the
world.
thing. It's like I feel like my personality just wouldn't. I'm a very eccentric person,
That's a
but
word for it. That's a word for it. Yeah.
like I don't think I could like. There's no way. No, I don't know.
What do you mean?
uh,
What no continue no, what are you getting at?
like I can't like formulate my thoughts in such a way that I could imagine anybody listening to it and find it that funny. Like if I was having a conversation with you, you find me funny sometimes, but then to record it and upload it to like there's no interaction with the audience. Like the audience wouldn't be talking to me as well.
Well, I mean, they could be potentially one day. I don't know who. We'll do a live
Yeah,
show.
one day
We'll
I
do a
guess
live show
we
one
could.
day if there's like an actual like an audience.
I don't know.
But
I think the average conversation as well is in
no, but
general just like
but I would also say that like
very. Go on.
no, I was gonna say that like you were talking about like oh like I find you funny or whatever, and like did you think that there's no way to formulate whatever to where it's appealing to an audience. But I would say just the fact that there's the two of us versus like one of us trying to make a YouTube video inherently is far more entertaining than just if one of us was trying and floundering on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd not be doing this by well, actually, I feel like I might. I would try it. I would try to do, like, a 20-minute podcast by
I
myself,
think you'd
just
be
in my car.
I think you'd be like very surprised at like how many people probably like find you more interesting or entertaining than you think you are. And I would say that's probably the same for like me and my own thoughts about this. The difference between me and you is like I'm kind of on the same boat as you. I'm just kind of said fuck it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Um but I feel like because I think like half the appeal of YouTube and we sort of lost it somewhere along the way. And I mean, we're not helping cuz we're just like filmmakers and we're like making movies and stuff. But it's like I like think about live streamers and the fact that like live streamers like super popular like through the roof, right? And I think it's because it's the most like raw, unfiltered version of a person's life that you can get in terms of content creation. Because these guys like
Because there's nothing happening.
there's nothing happening.
There's
There's
literally
so
nothing
much
happening.
fucking dead air, man. I have no idea how people sit down and watch 12-hour streams. Like it's crazy. But the fact of the
Because there's
matter is,
nothing happening in both of your
I
lives.
guess it just feels like you're vibing, like
Feels
you're
like you're there with them.
yeah, but that's the whole point. That's what I'm getting at. That's like why I'm talking like why I say it's like personality based, right? It's literally people want to feel like they're hanging out with you. They want to feel like they know you. They want to feel like they have a connection. And so streaming really helps cultivate that. I guess because you just sit there in silence together. But but I think also streaming does that because it's like literally none of that shit is scripted. It's like as raw as it can possibly get, right? I mean, some of it's scripted. Like if somebody like planned out a live show, it's a scripted thing, obviously. But for the most part, you go on Twitch, you pick any streamer, it's a completely unscripted 12-hour affair, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what the appeal is. I think that's half of what the initial appeal of like YouTube at its conception was that it's just people making shit and putting it on the internet, right? Like the appeal is like just the raw nature of it, I think.
Yeah. Uh, that's true. But I feel like on average, and this is something I wrote down too, the average conversation, like it's in general very boring. Like you
Yeah,
ask somebody, "How's the weather?" And they're like, "Oh, it's snowing." And you look outside, you're like, "Yeah, that's correct."
let's small
And then
talk.
then you talk about salmon for like an hour, and then you move on. And then the next day you have the same conversation again. Like when I was in college, I noticed that I would have the same exact conversations with Will like every day. And we
Yeah.
just forget we had it the next morning. You know what I mean? And I remembered, but I don't think he did. Because he would just tell me about the same shows and like the same episodes every time. And then after a while, it's like, yeah, I haven't even seen this, but I know exactly what happens because you told me.
That's
You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I get what
You
you're
kind of
saying.
just state the obvious, and then you repeat
I
yourself,
think you're
and then you
describing. I think to
and then
some.
a lot of thoughts you have again is just something somebody else has thought. That what I just said. Every thought you've had is just something somebody else has said, and now it's your opinion. You've been molded by society. I didn't come up with that. I'm just taking that from somebody else.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I heard it in a YouTube video.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, sometimes. I mean, not everything has been. Not necessarily every thought has been documented.
Yeah,
Like not
like I know it. Yeah, yeah,
like you could be a modern day philosopher, or is that the right
yeah,
word? Right, philosopher. You could be a modern
yeah,
day philosopher, and you could just not document anything. Like the OGs did, and few people would be aware of any of your thoughts. Um,
yeah.
but I think what you're
I
describing,
mean, not every opinion, obviously,
yeah,
but I think in general, when you go to talk to somebody, 90% of the stuff you're gonna say is something you've heard. So especially nowadays with the internet, it's all just gonna be because you open up your phone, it's just Twitter is full of people's dog shit opinions. You go on Reddit, that's full of dog shit opinions. You see the same screenshots from Twitter. You go on Discord, it's you just hearing people's dog shit opinions. You listen to the podcasts where you're hearing not our because we got pretty good opinions.
oh
Everyone
yeah,
else
yeah,
dog
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Uh,
That's the first base thing you've said today. That's
uh, you turn on the television. You get what I'm saying?
you turn on the television. uh, I think I get what you're saying, but because there definitely is like an issue of like I think that like we currently live like in the social media landscape that we live in. There's a lot of like, um, especially it's like
Everyone feels like they gotta broadcast themselves,
no, not even that.
and it's like, no,
I'm talking about like you're talking about like oh you go on anything you're seeing the same like tweet reposted and repackaged everywhere, and it's like that's just kind of the nature of like the thing that it is because like when you start looking in like if you want to make content and if you want to be sort of successful in this like and I know this because I've seen countless hours of videos talking about this and I'm convinced a lot of it's fucking snake oil, but also a lot of it is like borderline the same information. Any good piece of like YouTube guru advice that you hear is you will probably hear repeated by like 100 people, and it's also just fucking obvious, right? Like any good piece of
yeah,
advice is something you could have figured out by just making 10 videos. Um, but what I was gonna say is that like there is an amount of speaking to it where it's like if you want to be seen and you want people to see your stuff and you want to grow an audience and build a following, then it's like you got to put your reels up on Instagram. You got to put your reels up on fuck it. You got to post your TikTok and then take your TikTok and put it on Instagram, put it on Reels, and then you got to take your fucking reel and you got to put it on YouTube Shorts, and then you have to have made all of those from like a longer form video, and then that has to be on YouTube. But then and then also if you're doing like a podcast, you got to like rip the audio and then you got to put it up on like iTunes and also Spotify and SoundCloud, and you got to get everything everywhere so that everybody's seeing it everywhere they go. And it's like, okay, what in the fuck is going on anymore? And it becomes like very overwhelming as a concept. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's like
Well,
why
what I
you.
meant, I didn't necessarily mean so. Well, were you gonna say something, or do you
No,
care?
I was gonna say that's why
Does
like
anything matter?
I was gonna say that's why you get all that shit all over the place and why you're seeing the same stuff every day everywhere.
Yeah, that's part of it. But what I really meant is that you're just everybody's like the whole point of Twitter was like, let's make the YouTube comment section the entire website, right?
I don't know if that's the founding statement.
And
I don't know if Jack Dorsey said that. I don't know.
that's
I don't
basically what that's literally what it is,
I
though.
don't know. I think I don't
I'm not wrong. That's literally
I
what
can't
it is.
disagree with you, but I don't know if that's what the mission statement is.
And well, there's that, and then there's like with the reels, you're getting showed people's opinions every single time you scroll through it. Uh, like back in the day, Norm Macdonald, he said, there was one time he had 10 opinions, and half of them were on food. You're like, oh, I like orange. I like I like anchovies. He had 10 opinions, and that was it. And now everybody's got like 100 opinions. One time you met a guy with 17 opinions. You're like, wow, he's an opinionated guy. But now it's like, you know,
I
You know
mean,
where I'm going? Like the
I
internet
get
makes you care about. You have no idea how much stuff that you, like. I'll be on my phone and looking at something, or I might be replying to somebody on Reddit, and I'll just stop and delete it because it's like, who cares? It doesn't matter.
I think it depends on
It
what
literally doesn't
I
matter.
think it depends on what you're sort of talking about, I guess. But it's like I will agree with you that I think the internet has sort of there's been a lot of drawbacks, I think, in like I guess the
Like, it doesn't
years.
matter. I don't need to know that Dan TDM said that Lunchley sucked, and now KSI is mad at him and wants to. Like, that doesn't like.
Yeah.
I wasted maybe 50 minutes of my life listening
Yeah,
to shit about that.
that's
And
fucking crazy. I
if
don't
I
know what
didn't
is.
know this, my life would nothing would have changed. You know,
It's all like media gossip. Like that's like kind of 90% of what the internet
and
is.
it's entertaining, but like,
It's all entertainment news. That's what it is. Like it's like 90%
yeah,
just
but
like entertainment stuff.
it sculpts you as a person. I feel like because it.
To some extent,
And
yes.
in a way, I think it's a good thing because you should be like, I'm not an opinionated person. I got opinions on things that don't matter, but like, I hate conflict, so I'm never gonna have an actual argument with anybody.
Interesting.
But then I got all like I know all this stuff about stuff that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And so on one hand, I
That's
feel
why that's
like
why
you
you have so
should,
many people starting YouTube channels because they all just brain dump their
yeah,
useless information.
yeah. I feel like on one hand, you should have a lot of useless information, and you should like, you should know about the world, and you should know about what's going on. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
You just gave up. That's just gave up in the middle of that one.
Not even that I gave. This is not like, see, I can't formulate my thoughts correctly,
What
which is why I feel like I wouldn't be a great podcaster.
I don't
Because if
I
I were to sit down and write out what I'm trying to say, it would make a lot of sense. But
I
just trying to say it off the top of my head, it's not something I can
I feel
do.
like unless it's tied to some sort of condition, I feel like you can just improve at this.
Probably.
It's just public speaking.
Yeah. No, it's just speaking in
And
general.
yeah, just in
Like I
general, yeah.
just can't speak at all to begin with. It's
Yeah.
something that I gotta get better at.
Yeah, you got to talk to more people instead of just the voice in your head.
Yeah, basically.
That's although I don't
But a
know.
podcast is basically it's just rambling. It requires a bit of talent, but it's
Uh,
basically just rambling.
yeah, especially this
And
one.
if you're a funny person or if you have like good chemistry with whoever the other person is, people will listen to it. But
Yeah, well,
at the end of the day, I don't think it requires any real talent.
I don't think it
It's just
requires
something that
I don't think it requires an insane amount of skill by any means.
yeah, it's just if you're a cool person and people like you, you'd be good at it.
Like I said at the
You know
beginning,
what I
the
mean?
the entire reasoning behind this is because it was an easier thing to produce on average.
Yeah. Uh I like the quote from Catcher in the Rye that was about rambling. I tried to find it a few months ago and I couldn't find it, but basically there's a part where he's talking about how because the entire book, I don't know if you've read it,
I have
but it's
not.
basically just it's a 16-year-old just complaining about literally everything for 230 pages. There's no plot,
Okay.
literally no plot at all. It's just a guy complain. Well, I mean there is a plot, but it's basically just this guy talking to you about everything. And there was this one part where he was, those things in school where they just say, okay, talk about ceiling tiles for 3 minutes, go.
Okay.
So he was talking about
I feel like that
how
one might have just been you, Jacob. I don't remember doing that.
you did well.
I
No,
don't
yeah, people did that. Well, ceiling tiles isn't. We did this in college.
I don't remember having to talk about
Well, you
ceiling
didn't do it
tiles
in
for three
college.
minutes.
They'd
Oh
say
no,
talk
okay.
about
No, you're
beeswax for
talking you're,
three
you're
minutes.
talking
Go.
about
Talk about,
you're talking
and they
about
already give you.
you're talking about oral
Yes, you know what I'm
communications.
talking
That's what
about.
you're talking about.
Yes. And they give you the most bullshit topics ever. It's like talk about uh blue for 3 minutes. And you gotta be like, how the fuck am I supposed to talk
You're talking
about
about
blue
Bluey.
for
You can talk
three
about you talk
minutes?
about the dog. Talking about Bluey and his whole family.
Yeah, and that goes back to the point I was making. In The Catcher in the Rye, he was talking about how somebody had to do one of those presentations and he would just start rambling, and eventually he started talking about stuff that wasn't even relevant, and he said he lost marks for it. But Buddy, the main character, he said, I actually like that more because when your mind jumps from one topic to another, and you decide one topic maybe isn't something you want to talk about anymore, you'd rather talk about something else, and then you eventually might come back to it, and then your mind is all over the place. He said he found that to be it reveals a lot more about the person, and it's more insightful, and it shows you what they think is important, and rambling in a way tells you a lot more about a person than if they were to sit down and construct some structured essay, and if they were going to try and formulate a very strong and clear, concise opinion on something.
I,
Just hearing them ramble in a way, you learn more about the person.
I guess you would get more insight into the thought process.
Yeah, it's a lot more raw. So
It
I think
goes
that's
back to
something
what I
about
was saying earlier. Look at that. You're tying it all
I
together
guess so.
in a neat little bow.
Yeah,
That's
and it only
crazy.
took how long have we been recording? Like 20
Not that
minutes
long.
now.
It's been like 30 minutes.
That's longer than what I said.
It's been 35 minutes, but I think 4 of those were you taking a piss.
Yeah. That would still be longer. I said 20 minutes, and you said, it hasn't been that long. It's been 30.
I hadn't considered that my words were the reverse of what the actual situation is. My bad. Apologies. See, I'm also an idiot.
Yeah.
That was it was very insightful rambling from you. Thank you, Jacob. Uh what else you got on your little note from work?
Uh, so there's another book called No Longer Human.
Well, welcome to literature hour. We're
Yeah,
here to
yeah.
talk about books
And
now.
this made me laugh when I thought about it.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be that funny to say out loud, but when I
Okay.
thought about it, it was very funny.
Okay.
But I'll just read the opening quote of No Longer Human.
All right.
So it says, well, I actually have the book.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
So I'm just going to open it and read it out loud. And so this made me laugh when I thought about it.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm waiting. We're all waiting.
Uh,
Edge of our seats.
Mine has been a life of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live the life of a human being.
This
So
made
that's the opening line of
this
this
made you
book.
laugh.
No, where I was going with it. So it's about this guy in Japan who, when he was a kid, he uh, he had an obsession with like pillowcases because he thought it was just a decoration that people put on their pillows to make them look nice. And then he found out they actually had a purpose, and that made him very sad. And then he saw bridges, and he thought the bridges were very cool, and he thought that it was just something people built to make exploring the city a lot more fun and more interesting. And you see everything from up high. And then he found out that it actually had a purpose and became very sad. And then he realized that everything in life has a purpose, and he couldn't wrap his life, everything humans do has some purpose, has a reason, and he couldn't wrap his head around why anybody would go out to do something, or why everything needed a purpose. And he says that ever since he was a child, he had always been depressed and he had never felt happiness. And even simple things like hunger, he could not relate to because he never ever felt hunger. He had no idea what it was like. He would only eat to please other people. And then as he got older, he started playing a clown to try and blend in with everyone else because he felt a lot like an alien. And, you know, he was also like it suggests that he had been raped as a kid, and he said that the thing
Jesus.
that disturbed him most was how he could not comprehend somebody's emotions being so powerful that it would make them want to go out and do something. Like he couldn't imagine this happening. And
Where
then it also says what?
where's the funny part?
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Oh my god.
And then, like, the whole thing is, like, his life. So as he gets older, he's still playing the part of a clown. He's still wearing a mask, and then he becomes an alcoholic for a while, and he becomes friends with a communist, and the only reason he's friends with him is because he talks a lot, so he wouldn't have to talk at all.
Okay.
And, then he finds, like, I didn't finish the book, but then he gets married at some point, but he's, like, a deadbeat dad. He becomes afraid of his own daughter because, like, he realizes his daughter too is also a person with a, and he can never be safe around anyone. And I was like, that's what the Emoji Movie should have been about.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Because the Emoji Movie he's about a meh emoji, right?
Yeah, it's about a
Can you
guy
imagine?
who's
Imagine how sad it would be if you were a meh emoji, and that was the only emotion you could ever convey
you
to
just
your
felt
fellow
you
man.
felt indifferent to everything that ever happened.
Just indifferent to everything. Nothing matters. You don't care about anything. Like, imagine, and his two parents. Like, this is something that pissed me off about the movie. His two parents are also meh emojis, but there's a side plot about them trying to find their son. Really, they should have just been like, whatever. I don't care.
Excellent point.
He's gone.
Honestly, a more literal interpretation of the Emoji Movie is probably the better movie.
It would have been,
Yeah, you're probably onto
but they
something.
would have remade the novel. I feel like.
Yeah, and the shit emoji can, not be like a humanoid. It can just be a pile of shit.
Yeah.
That would have been better. I cannot stress this enough. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I'm not sure where that came from either.
What a
Like, I don't know why. Like, I wasn't think. I was thinking about the novel, and then for some reason that's what the Emoji Movie should have
I
been
like
about.
how you went
It
through
just popped up in my
all
head.
all of that, and then that's what the Emoji Movie should have been. That's a hell of a fucking ride. Um, then again, I
Yeah.
expect nothing less from the guy who made the Angry Birds is neo-Nazi propaganda PowerPoint. I expect
Well,
nothing
see, that
less.
wasn't even like my. I just read what somebody else wrote,
Did
and it
you?
was literally just.
Did you
Yeah,
steal
yeah, yeah. It
that?
was
You stole that as a
I s-
plagiarism?
not really, because I
Oh,
didn't
good.
steal it word for word.
Okay.
But I just read what somebody had written on Letterboxd. Maybe we
Okay.
should just talk about that on the
We
podcast.
could
How
just
Angry Birds is, because the listeners have no idea what we're talking about.
no. We could talk about that for a minute. Well, it's more your thing. You're gonna have to take the wheel on
Yeah.
that.
So basically, like the Angry Birds movies, I'm just gonna tell you what happens in the Angry Birds movie.
Okay.
So this is not me fucking around. I'm not making a joke. This is literally what happens. So there's a guy named Red who lives on an island called Bird Island because it's full of birds, right? And he has anger problems, and he kind of doesn't like everybody. And I can't remember what happens, but for some reason he has to go to anger management class. I think. Oh yeah, no, he crushes somebody's egg with his head, and he's like, "It's a boy," which is kind of messed up to think about because if it was about two humans, his head would be going into somebody's uterus, basically, right? So he has to go to anger management class. Uh, I just skip over this part because it doesn't fucking matter.
Are you reading the
So
PowerPoint?
maybe. So I got it on my computer.
That's
Actually, I could just read that.
my god.
Hold on. Neo-Nazi. Do I still have it? Yeah, I do. Nazi propaganda is what it's called. That's the name of the file. Oh,
Why?
never mind.
Oh my god. This is the most.
I have video saved.
This is the most
I don't know
burnt.
about the actual
This is this might be the most burnt thing that you've ever like done.
yeah, I guess. Anyway, so the pigs arrive on the island in a big ship, And so there's only two pigs, and immediately Red is like, okay, why don't they have clothes? We don't wear clothes either, but at least we got feathers to cover ourselves up, right? We at least look proper, you know. We don't have our hideous bodies exposed everywhere. And everyone's like, grow up. They're only here to be, they just wanted to see what was over here. And they brought all these cool inventions too. They got TNT and the slingshot. And so all the other birds become friends. But then Red looks at them, and where there was only two pigs, there was now three. He's like, wait a minute, something ain't adding up here. There should only be two pigs. And then he sneaks onto the boat, and he sees that there's thousands of pigs that had smuggled themselves over the water in the boat and are now on Piggy Island. He's like, okay, what's the meaning of this? And the next day, the entire island is just overrun with pigs. You can't go down the street without seeing a fucking pig on the side of the road. They're everywhere you go. They're running the Tim Hortons. They're running the
Oh
McDonald's.
no!
They're everywhere.
All right.
Can't get a job on Bird Island no more. This is called Bird Island. Go back to Piggy Island. And that's what he says in the movie. And then so he believes that the pigs are up to something. He knows it. You can feel it. He knows that they're trying to do something. And then there's one part where he paints like a picture of him beating up the pigs. So he basically, he draws a hate symbol, I guess. And eventually he finds out, okay, he was right. The pigs were after our eggs, or after our kids, and they take the eggs and they go back to Pig Island. So the birds then build a boat. They go over to their island, and they take the slingshot and they play Angry Birds, and they just raise the entire city. They destroy everything. They kill everyone, and then at the end there's a massive explosion, which just literally just decimates all of Piggy Island. There's nothing left anymore, and then they leave and go home. So I guess the message of the Angry Birds movie is that you shouldn't trust immigrants because they're going to steal your kids, and so even if only one of them behaves poorly, you should just kill them all. That's basically what the kids movie is telling our kids.
Does anyone feel
Hello?
hello?
Hi. Yeah,
That's
I thought you might. If I had
no.
just been
That's
talking to my computer for like the past 10 minutes, and if I was just talking to myself,
I
I'm also not the only person here, so somebody could have been listening to that whole thing.
I think that's well. There's a bunch of people now at home who were listening to that. Um, there's an interesting interpretation of the Angry Birds film.
That's literally just what happens.
I've never seen it. I'm not going to
That's
disagree with you.
literally just the plot.
The plot it's just xenophobia, the movie.
Basically.
That's okay. I believe it honestly.
And guess what colors the main characters are?
Red.
Yellow, red, and black. It's the fucking German flag.
Okay.
And
All right.
guess who the like mythic hero they all look up to is? The mighty eagle,
It's an
the American flag.
I, um so
And
I'm not
guess who plays him?
I'm not gonna go out here and I'm not gonna try to say that like America isn't racist and or xenophobic in any capacity. What I'm gonna say is that like on the scale, we're gonna put it higher than Nazi Germany. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
We're gonna say that Hitler looked up to America. Is that what you're insinuating
Oh
right
wait,
now?
no. I thought you meant are we putting the evil deeds of the Angry Birds movie above Nazi Germany? That's what I thought you were saying.
And you would say yes to that.
Yes.
That okay.
No, what I meant was people like this they're generally patriotic,
Oh, that's a good point.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, the eagle. I get it now.
if America wanted to go bomb like the shit out of a foreign country, they would blindly support it.
Yeah, okay. All right. I feel like we verging towards politics right now. I don't like that. Um, Perhaps
Well,
the
you asked me
we
about
did
it,
we did we
so
did we did
this is.
we did
You
also
remember
start
earlier
talking
when I
about the
said
neo-Nazi propaganda. We
remember
perhaps
earlier when I said that I couldn't form a, coherent thought and that I don't have any real opinions? This is, like, my only political opinion I have.
is that the Angry Birds movie is propaganda? That's your only
Yeah.
political opinion?
Yeah, I tried talking to this about it to a girl at the bar one time. She's just,
I'm
you
sorry.
know,
What? No,
I
hold on.
that was my one chance at
Hold
love. God, right
you
there.
are you fucking bullshitting me right now or is that real?
Yeah, no, yeah, it never happened.
You son
Joking.
of a I was so excited for that story for a second because that's the funniest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. I would love to do this in person, I think, instead of
What, the Angry Birds?
because there is a bit of a no, I mean the podcast.
Oh
There is
yeah,
a bit of
yeah,
a
yeah.
disconnect. There's a massive disconnect
Oh no,
here,
there's
actually.
yeah.
I think
Okay. Well,
people are gonna be able to hear it.
I think it's burnt that we talked about all that, and now here's the point where I'm going to say, well, good news. Whenever you come out for the one movie that we're going to make, we'll do it for real.
Yeah, and we'll go over everything we just talked about.
What was that?
We'll remake this
Oh yeah,
episode
we'll
of
make
the
that as a real
podcast.
bit. Well, no, we'll make your neo-Nazi video essay that you want to make.
No, I meant that everything we just said, we're gonna do it a second
Oh,
time with better chemistry.
we're gonna script this out for real,
Yeah,
and then
I'm gonna play you, and you're gonna play me.
and then we'll get
And we're
somebody
gonna
else,
take notes on how to
and
improve.
then Cameron can play my chair when it squeaks. That's what he'll do. He'll be that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then Jane will play the eagle.
yeah.
What was I gonna say? I mean, what else can we talk? I also kind of like. I guess if we're gonna go back to like what I conceive or what I viewed this podcast as, I think part of it was also like a way to just like directly communicate the going ons of film related projects that we're doing to the audience at any given moment. Although
That would make
you
sense.
know, so I mean, we have a bunch of shit in the works. That's like the number one thing I can say here right now. I wouldn't go too in depth with any of it, although there's a lot. There's an exponential amount of things currently in development. Because I think we have what, like at least 4 movies right now that are like
Yeah.
in development. One we're trying to shoot January, and then everything else is kind of like it's like a domino effect. It's like everything else just happens after. So it's like movie in January, and then February there's like at least 2 things we're trying to shoot. And then I'd say something's definitely probably gonna end up, I don't know, maybe in March. I have no idea. It kind of depends. None of it's planned. It's just a bunch of shit that like is definitely going to happen relatively within that order. All right.
Yeah.
You got any closing remarks? I feel like we're gonna wrap it up here. I feel like this is
I had something I was gonna say.
all
It was
right.
gone.
Okay.
If I could like rewind, I would know. What were you talking about before you just said? Do you know either? Or
I
is it gone for you
I think it's
too?
probably gone.
Did it just evaporate? Could you just repeat everything you just said?
um
Maybe that would jog my memory.
I
I'm
don't know.
joking. Don't do that. That would.
Okay. Um
Uh,
yeah, you got any closing thoughts, Jacob? You got anything you want to say before we're done?
did you hear him?
No.
Oh.
What was I supposed to hear?
There's somebody on the other side of the door said something.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kind of sounded like an ostrich. And if that was how the episode ended, it would have been really cool.
That okay.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Okay. All right. I feel like
See ya.
I feel like this somehow is
Let me
gonna
read I'll read one more thing from
I
my notes, and that's
okay.
all.
I've
We'll just do you ever watch like like an episode of a sitcom or something where
yeah.
it's like, oh, where's Jerry? And then they look around and he's not there, and then they realize he's like, you know, still in prison or something, and then it just freeze frames and it ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in this. So I'm just
Okay.
gonna read. I forgot I had this written down, but this is the order in which I wrote everything.
Hold on. Before you start this, I just got to get this thought out. I feel like somehow this episode is gonna feel more like the first episode than the last one. You know, I feel like this is gonna be an infinitely greater train wreck than the last one.
You mean
Continue.
it's gonna be worse?
Yeah, I feel like somehow this is way more like fucked comparatively.
Oh, definitely.
All right, continue.
Uh, so what I wrote down is, what do you get in a poly relationship?
What
And then
is
right after that, I wrote, well, what is the reason we as a society see casual sex outside of a relationship as fine, but when it's in a relationship, suddenly that's scrutinized? And then immediately after that, I have being afraid of people who like feet is sort of like the new homophobia. And that's it. That's the episode.